Thank you so much, and warm welcome to the Union Railways Information Technology, Telecom and Electronics Minister. Thank you, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, for joining us on this second edition of the Times Now Summit. In fact, we are very grateful to you for making your first public appearance on a media platform, and we've been able to get you out. Are you normally reticent, or is that a trait that you've had to develop after becoming a minister?
Not at all. In fact, I've always maintained a low profile. Somehow I like to spend more time on working rather than telling what I'm doing.
तो बाकी जो मंत्री दिखते हैं वो काम नहीं करते?
काम सभी करते हैं. उनमें दूसरे गुण भी हैं. मेरे में वो गुण अभी नहीं है. That's why I'm here.
Well, let's begin with the most important ministry that you're handling, which is the railways. I'm saying it's the most important not because I'm undermining the importance of other ministries, but simply because railways लोगों को लोगों से जोड़ता है और आम ट्रैवल का साधन है आम जनता के लिए. मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ कि we've seen, and the theme of this summit is India at 75. And shaping the next 25. How do you see Indian Railways over the next 25 years?
See, railways has traditionally been a monolith which was kind of isolated from almost all other industries. That's what needs to change. Mindset has to change. Openness to technology has to come. Openness to have more and more partners, whether they are partners in manufacturing, partners in operations, partners in investment, that has to come. In the last 7 years, Railways has come up to a very great level in terms of punctuality, in terms of cleanliness, in terms of कितनी लोगों को अच्छी से अच्छी सुविधाएं मिल सके. From here, now Railways has to move towards a totally new generation of rolling stock, which is the coaches that we use. It has to have a totally new way of working in which हमारे छोटे से छोटे किसान, छोटे से छोटे इंडस्ट्रीज, उनकी प्रोडक्ट्स को, उनकी जो लॉजिस्टिक्स की नीड्स हैं, उसको रेलवेज एक एफिशिएंट वे में मीट कर सके. सो बोथ फ्रॉम द पैसेंजर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, फ्रॉम द कार्गो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, फ्रॉम टेक्नोलॉजी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू एंड फ्रॉम माइंडसेट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, रेलवेज नीड्स टू transform, be more open, and that's what Prime Minister Modi ji's vision is, and that's what we are implementing now.
Well, can I just have silence around the hall? There's some people at the back who seem to be speaking a little loudly. Mr. Vaishnav, Railways has often been said that it's at a crossroads, especially from a business model point of view. Safety, business model, these are important issues for Indian Railways. How are you addressing these issues?
You are absolutely right. Railways is definitely at a crossroads. We all know that Railways used to have something like 80% of market share in logistics in 1950s. That has come down to about 27-28%. So how do we go up from there? We say that countries like Germany have the best cost of logistics, which is about 9% of GDP. India has like 14%. So how do we bring this 14% to 10% or 11%? That's only and only possible if more cargo share comes to railways. And that will happen by transforming the methods. So for example, right now we are working on a Gati Shakti cargo terminal policy. That policy will enable industries to get integrated with railways. Right now there is a mindset issue. Basically, railways works in one way, industry wants another kind of facility, another kind of service level. That has to change. Railways and industry will have to integrate. Railways, small industries will have to be integrated in a different way. Larger industries will have to be integrated in another way. So that is the crossroads at which we are today. And from here, we have to move towards a totally new way of working in railways.
Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, privatization is a word that often creates political issues, whether it's privatizations of public sector undertakings, something like Air India. It's been called selling of the family silver. Do you think privatization or even some sectors being given to private sector for operating railways, trains, is a model that's workable? Because recent experiments haven't really yielded much success. How do you think a private sector participation is going to be pushed in the railways?
If you ask me, today when we say our railway employees are like 12 lakh employees, right, 1.2 million. But the Rail Parivar, as we say, is 2 crore, 20, right? So that's a large number which is in the private sector. Who are the private sector partners? The manufacturers, the service providers, the construction contractors. There's a whole lot of private sector interaction with railways already there. How do we step it up? How do we make it more structured? That's what we need to work on. What does private sector look for? Private sector looks for a structure where risk allocation is very appropriate. It's not lopsided. Payment terms are proper. Dispute resolution is properly defined. Contractual structure and policy is well structured. So that's what we need to work. And I believe that what highways was in 99, 2000, I used to work in the Prime Minister's office that time with Vajpayee ji. So that time the country shifted from a pure play government construction of highways to a model where private and public worked as a partner. So that kind of thing needs to come into railways now. So we are working on that, and hopefully very soon we should come up with the first BOT project for laying new railway lines. And once that succeeds, I'm quite sure that will succeed, looking at the industry response we have got so far, I think we'll be able to construct many more kilometers of railways using that model. That, I think, is a more appropriate way of how the private sector will interact with railways.
So build, operate, transfer.
Build, operate, transfer in a hybrid model in which risk allocation is very balanced. It's not one-sided risk purely on either on private or on public.
Mr. Vaishnav, on the economics of Indian Railways, are we in the red? Are we in the green? Are we going to be in the green anytime soon? And how are we going to compare competitive pricing of railway tickets for passengers with the low-cost airlines?
Listen, there are two parts of your question. One is the competitive pricing of railway tickets, and second, getting the retail cargo, which is for the small industries, for the small businesses, for the tribal living in Ranchi who wants to send the ragi developed by that lady to somebody sitting in Delhi. If we are able to catch that segment of a then railways economics will shoot like this. And I'm sure with the inventions, with the innovations that we are doing, in fact, today, from here, I'll be going to the New Delhi railway station, where the box that we have developed for such medium, small-scale industries, small businesses, that box we will see today, and hopefully we'll very soon deploy that.
Well, that's a forward-looking model that you're developing, and ragi is now the latest fad in big cities. Ragi-based organic, diets are recommended by dietitians. So I can see some business coming your way, the railways way. 25 years from now, what is your outlook on what Indian Railways as a business proposition is going to mean?
It's going to be superb. If world's most savvy investor, Warren Buffett, he invests in BNSF. We are all aware he owns BNSF, which is world's largest railways. Then do you think railways is a bad business proposition?
No. नहीं, पर हम भारत का जो मॉडल है वो तो माशाअल्लाह है ना.
भारत के मॉडल में जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन अभी मोदी जी के विजन से होंगे और हो रहे हैं, उसको अगर आप देखेंगे तो coming 5 years, 6 years down the line, railways will be highly profitable. Rail Parivar में 2 crore लोग जो हैं, I think that will become 3 crore. More and more industries, more and more partners will join. That's the way I look. And over and above that, the customer experience is going to totally transform. Prime Minister announced from the Red Fort this year that by 15th August, we should connect all parts of the country with absolutely modern world-class trains. And we have started manufacturing those. I'm very happy. In fact, yesterday the chairman railway board, he visited the factory and saw the manufacturing process. It's progressing very well. We'll get the first prototype by coming April. We'll get the serial production going on by coming September, October. Then every month, 5 to 6 new trains will come. And imagine the customer experience that will happen. I mean, people who would normally not like to take travel by trains, they will also come and travel by trains.
Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, you are a bureaucrat turned entrepreneur turned politician now. तो ये जो पॉलिटिक्स में एक रामायण एक्सप्रेस चलानी पड़ती है, डज दिस मेक बिजनेस सेंस और ओनली पॉलिटिकल सेंस? क्योंकि चुनाव तो आते ही रहते हैं हमारे देश में, तो रामायण एक्सप्रेस बीजेपी के पॉलिटिकल एजेंडे को सूट करती है।
आप जानते हो कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी किसी एक पॉलिटिक्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से काम नहीं करते। वो उनका विजन है कि भारत का जो गौरव है, उस गौरव को एक नई तरीके से दिखाना चाहिए। आप दुनिया के किसी भी देश में जाइए, छोटे से छोटा एक स्टेडियम होता है, उसमें कभी कोई आंदोलन हुआ होगा, छोटा सा एक पत्थर होता है, उसके ऊपर इतनी बड़ी बड़ी कहानियां बना के बता देते। हिंदुस्तान में तो इतना कुछ है, हमारे पास तो कितना कुछ है। सो द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ गौरव, भारत गौरव trains is, and Ramayan train is the first in that series, is to have a very authentic way of having people experience India's culture, India's heritage, the variety that India offers, the diversity that India offers. इसमें रामायण के बाद में गुरु कृपा ट्रेन आएगी, इसमें सफारी आएगी, इसमें साउथ इंडिया दर्शन आएगा, इसमें इट्स अ कॉन्सेप्ट विच प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स विजन इज कि पूरे भारत, हमारे देश के गौरव को, हमारे कल्चर को, हमारे हेरिटेज को, हमारी वैरायटी को, डाइवर्सिटी को एक अच्छा एक्सप्रेशन मिले, एंड इट मेक्स लॉट ऑफ बिजनेस सेंस।
कुरान एक्सप्रेस, अल्लाह एक्सप्रेस या बाइबल एक्सप्रेस, क्राइस्ट एक्सप्रेस कब आएगी?
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने तो एकदम क्लियरली कहा है, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास।
तो ये वाला विश्वास कब आएगा? क्योंकि आपने सफारी तक बता दिया, अल्लाह एक्सप्रेस नहीं बताया।
बिल्कुल आएगा। इसमें एक और एलिमेंट है, गौरव, भारत गौरव ट्रेन में वी हैड इंटरेक्शंस विद क्लोज टू 1000 स्टेक होल्डर्स। The entire concept will be developed by private sector. So जो creativity चाहिए, जो freedom चाहिए, जो policy की certainty चाहिए, जो contractual structure में balance चाहिए, that is what we have facilitated. Now it's open to all of you, all the friends. आप चलाइए, जिस तरह की ट्रेन चलाना चाहें, हम भी चलाएंगे, आप भी चलाएं, विदाउट कॉम्पिटिशन।
तो रामायण एक्सप्रेस आप चलाएंगे, अल्लाह एक्सप्रेस हम चलाएंगे?
दोनों हम ही चलाएंगे, दोनों आप भी चलाएंगे।
Ashwini Vaishnav ji, I want to go to the next ministry that you handle, electronics and IT. What do you see the scenario in electronics manufacturing over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years? Because many people talk in theory about India being an alternative to China for manufacturing, पर ये असलियत में होता नहीं है, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ clearances are so painful that many projects, many big brands find it difficult to come to India. How do you see moving forward changes in policy and increase in manufacturing of electronics in India?
Very important question, very good question. In fact, the progress that has been made, first of all, that's very important to understand. We have already reached $75 billion of electronics manufacturing today. We are having 2.6 lakh employment in electronics manufacturing. We have 200 plus mobile manufacturing units. I ask a question to the audience, where is world's largest mobile manufacturing factory located?
Noida.
Noida, right? More than 215 electronics component manufacturing factories in the country. We have reached a level today where the basics are all in place. Where are we going forward from here? From now, we are moving to the lowest possible component, item number one. Item number two, the entire ecosystem. So all the component manufacturing, PCB manufacturing, filling the components in the PCB, or what we call populating the PCBs, from there onwards to semiconductor, the chips, which is today a very strategic importance.
And China has a dominant role in that.
Yeah, so that entire ecosystem will take us from 75 billion today to the year that you asked, 2026, to 250 billion. And 250 is a very conservative estimate. My own judgment is we will be easily crossing 350 or touching 400 billion. The kind of response we are getting from the people and the ease of interacting with the people, the ease with which people are setting up the factories, it's phenomenal.
Also on IT, and social media is an important part of our democracy these days. Platforms are increasing, need for privacy is increasing, and then of course the Waterloo of your government, Pegasus. How do you balance privacy concerns with the multiplicity of platforms and of course the snooping charges on your government?
This is the difficult part of this interview.
This is the difficult part even in Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court has set up a committee to look into the charges.
But I'll be very candid. As a father, I'm always worried about what's happening in the social media. See, the way technology has moved, it's a great boon. Undoubtedly, it's a great platform. It frees up everything. Everybody gets a chance to express oneself. Simultaneously, the way technology is also being misused puts a huge burden of thinking on where should the regulation be. I would say the way the world is thinking today, there has to be a balance between privacy and the social responsibility, let me put it that way. If today any person's deep fake video can be put in the social media and that person can be put to such mental torture, don't you think that there is a need to either self-regulate or government comes in to regulate or find an alternate mechanism? I would say that it's the Western world thinks the entire policy of Western world is focused on the individual. Our country, our culture focuses on the society, family as the structure rather than individual as the structure, as the unit. I would say our policy will have to have our cultural roots, our needs, our realities in focus when we do the policy. I would put it like that.
तो आप चाह रहे हैं कि सरकार सेंसर करेगी और बताएगी कि हम अपने ट्विटर पे क्या लिख सकते हैं?
Not really censor. I would like to say that there has to be first an element of self-regulation.
अब वो तो है नहीं.
Right? Self-regulation is first step. Second is the users themselves come out and regulate. Third is the government should step in. So the way we have structured our social media intermediary rules basically puts the consumer in the front. जो आपका सर्विस है, आपका चैनल है, आप रिस्पॉन्सिबल न्यूज़ रखते हैं. अगर कल को कोई भी किसी भी रिपोर्टर ने कोई ऐसी चीज़ लेके आ गए, एडिटर उसको डिलीट कर देता है, राइट? दैट puts an element of trust in the media. That element of trust also has to come in social media. That's my point.
That's very well said, and you've sidestepped the question on Pegasus.
You wouldn't leave me.
No, there's no way I'm going to let you avoid that.
We as the government fully respect Honorable Supreme Court's judgment. The committee which Honorable Supreme Court has formed has stellar technical experts. And from the government side, we will provide complete cooperation to this committee in terms of infrastructure, in terms of manpower, in terms of laboratory facilities, in terms of whatever information that is needed. We are clean on this. We are absolutely clean on this, so we don't have to worry about what's going to come out of this report.
Are you saying no government agency ever bought Pegasus?
I have very categorically told in the parliament that whatever we are doing is exactly in the framework of the law, and the law of the land has been clearly laid down by the Supreme Court guidelines. Absolutely, we are within those four walls of the law.
That is a lot of legalese and bureaucratic explanations. साधारण जनता की लैंग्वेज में बता दीजिए कि पेगासस इस्तेमाल हुआ था कि नहीं?
देखो, मैं फिर साधारण जनता की भाषा में बोलता हूं। भारत सरकार ने जो भी काम किया है कानून के हिसाब से किया है। कानून किसने बनाया है? कानून सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गाइडलाइंस हैं कि किसी भी सिस्टम को अगर यूज करना है, नहीं यूज करना है, उसको कैसे यूज करना है, वो सारा का सारा सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गाइडलाइंस में। तो भारत सरकार ने सब कुछ सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गाइडलाइंस और कानून के अंदर किया है।
Matter to be noted here is he is not denying or saying anything about
I cannot
Pegasus
go beyond
being
what
not used.
I'm a responsible person. I have said this in the parliament very clearly. We have put an affidavit in the Supreme Court. So it's very clear.
Okay, let me move to the telecom ministry, another ministry that is in your charge, and once again another ministry which is once in every 5 or 7 years at crossroads. I've covered telecom from the Sukhram days when the entire matter was in the high courts, and your party had वाजपेयी जी के सरकार के जस्ट पहले आपकी पार्टी ने तब पार्लियामेंट नहीं चलने दिया था 30 दिन के लिए। परंपरा अब तक चल रही है लेकिन शुरू तब से हुई थी। लेकिन सवाल ये है कि क्रॉसरोड्स पर अब भी है, टेलीकॉम इंडस्ट्री, बिग प्लेयर्स आर फाइंडिंग इट डिफिकल्ट टू रन देयर बिजनेसेस, वोडाफोन and their tax troubles in India. The fact that some companies want to exit, and then of course 2G and related controversies have taken their toll on the telecom sector. I want to ask you, what's the way forward for the telecom sector? How long is it going to be at crossroads?
Which was the root cause of the entire problem. That has been resolved. Many more structural reforms have already been done. Many procedural reforms have been done. Whatever was approved in the cabinet has been fully executed also. Today, if you ask the telecom operators, they'll tell you how simplified the process has become post the cabinet decision. So, the approach in which government and telecom sector was adversarial in some senses has changed, has already changed. From here onwards, it's a phase of new capital investment cycle, phase of getting new technologies, and most important, over and above that, having our own technologies, having our own players who can go out and compete with the world's best in the most competitive markets of the world.
Telecom sector, it was often joked that they spend more on lawyers and litigation than they spend on setting up cell sites, because call drops, quality of the kind of services that were coming were rather tardy. Do you think that's going to change? That's
going to fundamentally change. Fundamentally change, because the root cause of most of the litigations are regulations, the way the regulatory structure is. And Prime Minister Modi ji has given us a very clear task. India's telecom sector regulation has to be benchmarked with the global best, and the first set of reforms showed that yes, lots of changes have happened. Second, third, fourth, it's a very complex sector. You must, you understand it so well. It's a very complex sector. So we will come with series of reforms in this, such that the global benchmark of regulations is achieved in India. We don't see the industry focuses more on investment, focuses more on reaching out to the unconnected, focuses more on improving the service quality because, see, call drop, classic case. Call drops, because the investment in the sector is very less. That investment has to step up 2x, 3x, 4x. That's what we need.
So global standards, आपकी पार्टी के बारे में एक और बात जो कही जाती है उसको थोड़ा सा मॉडिफाई करके कहती हूँ. वो मंदिर के बारे में वैसे कहते थे, मैं टेलीकॉम सेक्टर के बारे में कहूँगी कि ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स का बनाएंगे लेकिन तारीख नहीं बताएंगे. तो तारीख बताइए कब तक ये ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स होगा.
आप जिस चीज को रेफर कर रहे हैं वो भी तो तारीख आ गई ना. See, I think telecom regulatory structure should change in coming 2 to 3 years. It's already, the first fundamental change has already happened. In fact, the industry is telling that whatever has been done in the September reforms, that itself they are taking some time to absorb and adjust according to that. Because business plans will have to change, the entire fundamental structure of the industry will have to change. So coming 2 to 3 years, I think significant changes you'll see.
और 5G ऑक्शंस कब होंगे? आत्मनिर्भरता का क्या प्लान है? 5G?
दो एलिमेंट्स आपके क्वेश्चन के. पहला एलिमेंट 5G ऑक्शंस कब होंगे. ऑलरेडी ट्राई जो हमारा लीगल सिस्टम है उसमें ट्राई इज द रेगुलेटर विच डिफाइंस ऑक्शन का स्ट्रक्चर कैसा होगा. सो दे आर अंडरगोइंग द कंसल्टेशंस. आई थिंक दे विल सबमिट देयर रिपोर्ट बाय February mid is what we are thinking. Maybe February end, max to max March. Immediately after that, we'll have the auctions. First part. Second part of your question. All along, we have kind of imported technology. Today, our entire network works on somebody else's. So, the fundamental change which will happen is 4G, 5G and 6G. This entire technology stack, the hardware as well as software, both will be developed in India, proven in India, then used all over the world. That's the vision. Already 4G we have achieved. Couple of 1.5 months back, the first call was also made. 5G stack is like 70-75% ready. By February, we should have the entire 5G software stack ready. PLI for telecom manufacturing, 35 manufacturers have already availed it. They are in the process of setting up the factories. 6G, to begin that entire process, thinking process, conceptualization, that has already been, that task has already been given. So I'm very confident that Prime Minister's vision of having a world-class technology stack in the telecom sector will be realized by middle of 2023.
2023 and auctions in 2022?
Yeah.
Beginning of the financial year, around April?
April, let me not put, because depends upon how much time TRAI will take, but today our estimate is by April, May. I was earlier estimating March, but I think it will take, because consultations are very complex, diverse opinions are coming, and then we want the technology, we want the auctions to be technology neutral, which basically means that we would like to give a spectrum which is consistent for many years to come. So 4G can be used in that, 5G can be used. So that's the thinking. It's a thinking based on not just short-termism, but more like thinking at least 5 years, 10 years ahead.
Well, big headline there. By April, May next year, India is going to be a 5G telecom sector. Ashwini ji, 5G तो हो जाएगा, लेकिन अश्विनी जी को क्या अच्छा लगता है? रोल एज अ मिनिस्टर या एंटरप्रेन्योर होने में या ब्यूरोक्रेसी में आप ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल? व्हाट डज अश्विनी वैष्णव द पर्सन like better in terms of the role?
Every role will have its own challenges and opportunities. As an entrepreneur, the difference that you make, the lasting difference that you make in the people who are connected with you, that's huge. That's very satisfying. अगर आपको लगता है कि आपके कारण आपकी मेहनत के कारण 1000 लोग, 1000 परिवार उनका भरण पोषण होता है, अच्छे से उनके बच्चे पढ़ पाते हैं, उनका अच्छा घर बन पाता है. दैट्स अ वेरी वेरी सेटिस्फाइंग थिंग. In this current role, the spectrum is huge. The change you can bring about in people's lives, a lasting change, that potential is very big. The canvas is very huge. So I think both have equal satisfactions and challenges.
You worked in two prime ministers' offices. One as a bureaucrat under former Prime Minister Vajpayee, and now as a minister in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's cabinet. What are your takeaways?
Times have changed. The society has changed. Economy has changed. That time the challenge was how do we even build the most basic things like railways. Today the challenge is and the thinking is how do we get the best of the technology. So things have really, really changed. Was there any social media at that point of time? अखबार पढ़ते थे, अखबार में जो लिखा होता था, that used to be the final thing. TV had just come. Today TV is getting a very serious competition from OTT. So things have really changed. So I think different times will have the different leaders, different challenges. I think, but the basic values of our party, that remains the same. So the basic values have always been Antyodaya, Rashtra Pratham, Sadaiv Pratham. So these Samaveshi Vikas, these things remain the same throughout 1952 to today.
Well, on that note, let's give a big round of applause to Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw for a very engaging discussion, forward-looking, and really paving the way for India at maybe 2050. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnaw.